He left her in the middle of the dance floor, his arm still around the woman he'd chosen to replace her. The laughter came next. Sharp, rehearsed, cruel. Her glass slipped from trembling fingers, shattering under golden light. A hand appeared out of the dark. "Dance with me," he said, voice low enough to silence the noise. She looked up, saw the man every rumor in the city feared, and that night fear itself became her protection. The hotel ballroom glittered like nothing bad could happen under chandeliers that bright. Ella stood at the edge of the crowd, a nurse among executives, clutching a glass of cheap white wine like it was armor. Ryan had dragged her here, his new promotion, his stage. Her dress wasn't expensive enough for the light. Her shoes pinched. Her smile was rehearsed. He'd said, "Don't embarrass me tonight." But humiliation never asks permission. It began with the toast. Ryan's boss raised his glass. Everyone cheered. Ryan leaned close and whispered too loudly, "Remember when you couldn't afford a dress like this?" Laughter from nearby tables spread like static. Ella felt it crawl over her skin. She set the glass down before her hands could show the tremor. She turned toward the exit, then froze. A man at the bar was watching her, not staring, watching as if studying a scene he'd seen 1,000 times. His suit was too perfect, his stillness unnatural, the kind of man people moved around without realizing why. Ryan followed her gaze. "Don't look at him. That's Daniel Vega." The name landed heavy. Everyone in the city knew it. Real estate, ports, politics, shadows. No one called him Mr. Vega twice. Ella blinked away the thought and headed for the door, but Ryan wasn't done performing. He grabbed her wrist. "You think you're leaving? You can't even handle a drink without—" He never finished the sentence, because someone had crossed the floor between them. Quiet, fast. Daniel Vega's hand closed around Ryan's like a verdict. Not hard, not loud, just final. "Let her go," he said. No anger, no raise in tone, just the kind of command that makes the room forget its own noise. Ryan's grip loosened before he realized it. Daniel turned to Ella. "Dance with me." The request, or order, fell heavy in the air. She should have said no. Every instinct told her to step back. Instead, she nodded once. Maybe it was pride, maybe exhaustion, maybe the way his calm cut through humiliation like a scalpel. The band started a slow jazz piece. His hand found her waist, steady, cold, careful. Her other hand rested against his chest, feeling the measured rhythm beneath the tailored suit. He moved like someone who never guessed, only decided. "Who are you?" she whispered. He smiled, the kind that doesn't reach the eyes. Someone who doesn't like bullies. For the first time that night, she let herself breathe. And as the crowd pretended not to stare, Ryan's face went pale under ballroom lights. When the song ended, Daniel released her. Hand, but not the silence he'd brought with him. "Go home," he said quietly. "Don't look back tonight." Then he turned, already gone before she could ask why his name felt like both danger and deliverance. Ella replayed that voice all night, low, steady, dangerous in how gentle it sounded. Don't look back tonight. Morning came too early. Coffee couldn't drown the noise of last night's humiliation. Her phone lit up. Ryan, 9 missed calls. She stared till the screen dimmed. She walked to the hospital through the cold that cuts without warning. By the time she reached the lobby, gossip had beaten her there. 2 nurses whispered near the reception desk. "Did you hear? Ryan got into it with Daniel Vega." "The Vega? He owns the building the hospital rents." Ella kept walking, scrub pockets, head down, eyes forward, but the sound followed her like perfume that won't fade. At noon, the intercom buzzed. Ella Reed, administration office. Her stomach tightened. She expected Ryan waiting, smirking. Complaint filed. Instead, a man in a slate suit stood beside the administrator's desk. Security ID pinned to lapel, Vega Holdings. He didn't smile. Mr. Vega would like a word. Private. They crossed the parking lot in silence. A black car idled, windows smoked. Inside, air smelled of leather and expensive restraint. Daniel Vega sat behind the driver, coat open, tie loosened like someone who never needed rules. He looked up from his phone. Miss Reed. She hesitated. Why am I here? Because last night should never have happened in my city. He didn't look at her when he said it. You were humiliated under my roof. I take that personally. Her voice cracked just once. It wasn't your fault. He turned his head then, slowly, deliberately. Everything that happens in one of my buildings is my fault. The driver started the engine. City blocks blurred past, sunlight carving lines across Daniel's face. You work double shifts, no family here. Ryan used you to climb. Am I wrong? She flinched. How do you know that? I read people. He paused. And files. For a heartbeat she thought he might be joking. He wasn't. Mr. Vega, Daniel. Daniel, she repeated, cautious. Why help me? He watched the skyline slide by. Because power means nothing if you let weak men misuse it. The car stopped outside a narrow cafe, empty, shutters half closed. He stepped out first, gestured for her to follow. Inside, steam fogged the glass. Rain started tapping the windows like a clock counting down. He poured her coffee himself. No cream, 2 sugars. You'll get a call soon, a job offer, private clinic, better pay, take it. Her breath caught. You did that. He met her eyes for the first time since the ballroom. Let's call it rebalancing. Outside, a black SUV pulled to the curb. Men in dark coats stepped out, phones to ears. Daniel's gaze never left her face. Don't be afraid of the noise. It's just the city learning new respect. She didn't know whether to thank him or run. He finished his coffee, slid a card across the table, matte black, unmarked except for a single number. If Ryan bothers you again, dial once and hang up. Then he left, door chime ringing once, cold air rushing in, and every rumor she'd ever heard about Daniel Vega suddenly felt too small. The new clinic didn't feel real at first. It smelled like antiseptic and new money, not bleach and exhaustion. The reception desk gleamed under cool LED light. Her badge now said, Private Recovery Unit, Vega Health. Every paycheck came on time. Every shift ended on time. That alone felt suspicious. Ella moved through corridors with quiet efficiency. Patients whispered, Mr. Vega's place, the way people say, church. Cameras blinked softly in corners, not to monitor, but to promise protection. Still, she couldn't shake the sense of being seen. It began the 3rd week. Late shift, empty floor, a bouquet waiting in the staff lounge. White tulips, no card. She touched one petal. Cold dew kissed her fingertips. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. You're settling in well. She froze. Daniel. Before she could reply, another message. Don't work past midnight. The city gets strange after 12. She stared at the screen until her reflection blurred into it. Half of her wanted to delete the message. The other half wanted to read it again. By Friday, she saw him. He didn't announce his visits. He appeared like weather. Dark coat, gloves, quiet steps that didn't belong in a hospital. Routine inspection, he said, though no one ever inspected this place. She walked him through the hallways. Patients asleep, machines humming like slow heartbeats. He didn't speak until they reached the end of the corridor. You look better, he said. Better than what? Than the woman who tried not to cry on a dance floor. She exhaled slowly. I'm not sure if that's comfort or surveillance. He smiled faintly. Why not both? They stepped into the elevator. Doors closed, trapping silence. The floor numbers blinked upward. You shouldn't text me, she said finally. I don't text strangers. Then what am I? The elevator chimed. He didn't answer. Outside, rain had started again. Thin, cold, precise. Vega stood near the glass wall watching headlights smear across wet streets. "You know what power really is, Ella. I'm sure you'll tell me. It's not control. It's the illusion of choice." She frowned. "That's supposed to make me feel safe." He turned, expression unreadable. Safe people get ignored. Seen people get remembered. You deserve to be seen. Her pulse jumped before she could stop it. The words shouldn't have meant anything, but the way he said "you deserve" sounded like an apology from the universe itself. He adjusted his cuff, slid his gloves back on. "I'll have someone drive you home." "I can manage." "I know," he said, stepping closer, voice soft. "But I prefer guarantees." For a moment, the air between them tightened. Not fear, not attraction, something unnamed but dangerous. She looked up. "Do you always get what you want, Mr. Vega?" "Only when it's worth wanting." The sound of the elevator doors broke the tension. He turned away, the faint scent of cedar and rain trailing behind. When she reached home, the black sedan idled half a block away. It didn't leave until her lights turned off. Saturday morning, Boston's sky hung low and silver. Ella thought she could outrun the restlessness with chores, laundry, coffee, silence. But the silence kept echoing back a name, Daniel Vega. By noon, she gave in and checked her phone. No message, just a bank notification, her pending student loan balance marked "paid in full." She blinked. There was no mistake. Same account, same ID, and a memo line that read only one word: Vega. Her breath stalled. Gratitude should have come first. Instead came fear. She grabbed her coat and went to the clinic. It was her day off, but the guard waved her through without question. Inside, she found the administrator's office half open, voices spilling through. "Mr. Vega's directive takes priority," the man was saying. "No audits until Q4. He wants privacy maintained." Ella froze. Directive. Privacy. She backed away before anyone saw her and stepped into the stairwell. Her fingers shook on the railing. When she turned, Daniel was standing on the landing above her. "Curiosity can be expensive," he said quietly. Her heartbeat spiked. "You paid my loans." He tilted his head. "I invest in potential." "I didn't ask for your money." "I didn't ask for permission." He descended the steps, every sound of his shoes deliberate. "Do you know what Ryan did after the ballroom?" She swallowed. "No." "He tried to sue me for assault." A ghost of a smile touched his mouth. "He won't be trying again. Not after the city council reviewed his firm's inspection fraud." "You did that." "I corrected imbalance." He stopped one step below her, close enough for her to see the faint scar by his temple. "You were humiliated in public, so I gave you privacy. You were indebted, so I gave you freedom. Tell me, Miss Reed, what else do you need?" Her throat felt tight. "To understand whether this is protection or control." He didn't flinch. "Does it matter if it works?" "Yes," she said. "It does." He studied her a moment, then motioned to the door. "Walk with me." They exited into the underground garage, rows of black cars glistening under fluorescent light. He unlocked one with a touch. The engine hummed alive before they entered. As the car climbed the ramp into daylight, Ella stared ahead. "What do you get from helping me?" He looked out his window. "Redemption is easier when you do it for someone else." She turned to him. "You think this redeems you?" "I don't think," he said evenly. "I balance." They stopped at a riverside overlook. Steel railings, gray water, the city skyline blurred in drizzle. Daniel stepped out first. The wind pressed his coat against him, sharp lines of power in motion. He gestured to the skyline. "Everything you see, banks, hospitals, docks, Someone built them to hide their sins. I just prefer mine visible." Ella joined him, arms folded against the cold. "And me? Where do I fit into your visibility?" He looked at her then, truly looked. "You remind me what decency costs." For a long moment neither spoke. Horns echoed from the bridge above, rain tapping rhythm like a metronome. He finally said, "Go home, Ella. Tonight's not safe for people who still believe in fairness." She opened her mouth to ask what that meant, but he was already walking toward the car, phone pressed to his ear, giving an order that made the wind itself hesitate. By Monday, the city felt louder. Sirens, gossip, footsteps that followed too long. Ella tried pretending it was normal. It wasn't. At the clinic, whispers spread again. "Vega's name just cleared 3 politicians off a corruption board." Someone laughed nervously. "He doesn't fight back. He deletes problems." Ella kept charting vitals, pen trembling slightly. Every time she glanced at the window, a reflection stared back that didn't feel like hers anymore. That evening, she packed early. The night guard nodded, the elevator doors closing slow as breath. But when she stepped outside, a figure waited near the corner. Ryan. Rain streaked his jacket. His eyes were bloodshot. "You think you're safe because he paid your bills?" She stiffened. "Go home, Ryan." "I had friends. Now they don't return calls. You think that's coincidence?" He stepped closer. She smelled whiskey and panic. "You told him things, didn't you? You let him ruin me." Before she could answer, a sedan rolled up, black, silent, window lowering halfway. Daniel's voice carried through the rain. "Get in the car, Ella." Ryan turned. "Of course. Your savior." "Step away," Daniel said, calm as ever. Ryan laughed. "What'll you do? By the sidewalk I'm standing on." Daniel didn't reply. The car door opened itself. 2 men stepped out, coats dark as the weather. Ryan backed up, shouting, "You can't." "Don't touch him," Ella cut in. Her voice surprised even herself. Daniel's gaze shifted to her. Steady, unreadable. "Inside." She obeyed. The door shut, muffling Ryan's shouts into meaningless noise. The car moved. Rain blurred everything outside into streaks of silver and red. Inside, silence pressed against her chest. Finally, she said, "What did you do to him?" "I gave him a reminder." "Of what?" "That the world isn't his anymore." She turned toward him. "You don't fix things. You erase them." He met her eyes. "Is that what you want to believe?" She didn't answer. The car stopped outside her building. He leaned forward, resting one hand on the seat. "You're angry because I used my power. But tell me, if you had it, would you have let him walk away laughing?" The words hit deeper than she wanted. She opened the door, rain slicing across her legs. "Maybe I wouldn't have turned it into math." He almost smiled. "That's why you're human, and why I'm necessary." She slammed the door and ran up the steps. Inside, her apartment felt too clean, too quiet. On the counter lay a new envelope, no return address. Inside, a single sheet. Hospital board. Complaint withdrawn. Her pulse stumbled. Protection, again. She sank onto the couch, head in hands. Somewhere between fear and gratitude lived a new emotion she didn't know how to name. Through the window she could see the streetlight reflected in puddles. For a second, a shadow crossed the glass. Tall, still, watching. Then it was gone. The city didn't sleep that night. Sirens hummed in the distance. Streetlights flickered like warnings. Inside her apartment, Ella sat by the window, robe drawn tight, coffee untouched. She hadn't moved in hours. By dawn, the rain had stopped, but her phone hadn't. Unknown caller. She ignored it. Then the text came. "It's time you saw what protection costs." DV. She should have deleted it. Instead, she grabbed her coat. The car waiting outside wasn't the usual sedan. It was armored, silent. The driver said nothing, just opened the door. When it stopped, the air changed. Concrete, salt, and steel. The docks. Vega's world in daylight looked different. Ships, cranes, men in dark jackets moving with wordless rhythm. Daniel stood near the water's edge, coat open, wind pulling his tie sideways. The sun tried to break through clouds but failed. "You shouldn't be here," he said. "You sent for me." He nodded once. "You wanted truth. This is it." She followed his gaze. Two men were being led across the dock, hands bound, faces she didn't recognize until one turned. Ryan. Her breath fractured. "What are you doing?" "Collecting debt." "This isn't balance," she said, voice trembling. "It's vengeance." He turned toward her slowly. "Vengeance is balance to those who lost too much." The wind whipped her hair across her face. "Stop this. You said I reminded you of decency." "I lied." The words were quiet but sharp enough to cut through everything. "Then why bring me here?" He stepped closer. "Because I wanted you to understand me before you decide who I am." Behind them, one of his men raised a gun. Ella moved without thinking. "No," she shouted, stepping between. "You do this and you prove him right. You're just another monster they whisper about." For a moment, even the gulls went silent. Daniel's jaw tightened, his hand lifted slightly. Command to lower the weapon. The man obeyed instantly. Ryan stumbled back, hands shaking. "You think she's saving me?" he spat. "She's using you, Vega. Everyone does." Daniel looked at him, then at her. "Leave, Ryan, before I change my mind." Ryan ran, boots slapping wet pavement until they faded into distance. Daniel turned away from the water, hands in pockets. "You see? Justice is never clean." She exhaled shakily. "And you're proud of that?" He shook his head. "No, but I stopped pretending the world is anything else." The car door opened behind her, his driver waiting. "Go home, Ella." She didn't move. "You paid my debts, protected me, scared half the city for me, but I never asked you to own me." He looked over his shoulder. "You were never owned. You were proof I still could feel something human." She stepped closer. "Then prove it. Walk away from this." His eyes met hers, steady and unreadable. Then, for the first time, Daniel Vega smiled. Not cruelly, not coldly, just like a man exhausted by his own power. He turned, signaling the driver. "Take her back." The car rolled away from the docks. In the rearview mirror, the skyline shimmered under the first sunlight in days. Ella closed her eyes, whispering to herself, "Protection or control. It ends the same way. I walk out." Behind her, at the edge of the pier, Daniel Vega watched the car disappear, his reflection fractured across the water. And for once, the man everyone feared stood completely alone.